Hello and welcome to this module on neuromarketing. Today we're going to focus on the black box of the brain. I'm sure you've heard of this term, the black box. In most aircrafts, you find it is equipped with a black box which processes all of the information and whatever transpires or takes place within the cockpit. And if an aircraft crashes, they normally look for the black box in order to find out exactly what had transpired or taken place or the events that led to the crash itself. So investigators will delve into this black box to kind of remove or be able to access information to find out exactly what took place. Now, when we look at the black box of the brain, it is what I refer to as the hard drive of the anatomy, or like you have the hard drive of a computer, we have the brain, which is the hard drive of any human being. Or alternatively, I also refer to it as the head office or the control room of any human being. So I'm not going to go deep into much of the processing or the different types of parts of the brain itself, but we're just going to go as a brief overview of what is the black box and some of the techniques and equipment that I use to basically draw information out of a person or a consumer in order to help with regards to decisions in terms of buying and selling of products and so on. Now, you know that from previous lessons, neuromarketing uses different analytical techniques and equipment, etc., in order to study and to understand human behavior in relation to buying and selling of items, etc. Now, we always ask the question, why do consumers react in the way that they do? Why do they behave in a certain manner? Why do some people select a red dress and others select a blue outfit, etc.? So some of these questions basically are answered through neuromarketing by understanding how the black box or the head office or the control room of the brain actually operates. And by understanding this, one can actually make strategic decisions on where to place the product or to be able to promote a service within a geographical location or even to a certain population group, as it were. Now, neuromarketing has a way of investigating the cognitive component of buyers' decision making, etc. As I mentioned earlier, it uses various technologies, also biometric data to understand how someone operates, how someone behaves, and why do they make the necessary decisions in the way that they would do so in terms of buying and selling and so on. Now, neuromarketing combines various specialization, which includes neuroscience, it includes psychology, and also computational science as well. So it takes all of this data and it helps the neuromarketer or the organization or company to understand human behavior and how the human being or the consumer relates to buying and selling of products and services. Now, the brain is so vast, is so unique. It is something that still mesmerizes the minds of neurologists and scientists and even medical technicians as well. Now, the brain is the place where emotions and reasons meet, okay, where we have the analytical and the creative side, where we have men and women that are really great mathematicians and so forth, where logic and reasoning meet, etc. But in this case, we're looking at emotions and reasoning as well, where it meets. And these are the two factors that companies or organizations that want to put their brand out into the marketplace and where they need to consider these two aspects in order to attract the consumer, in order to buy their products and their services. Things like the logo, the design, the image, the packaging are all critical in order to be able to impact the consumer so that they will be able to put out their products and their services in the marketplace, as it were. Now, the parts of the brain consist of the visual cortex, the amygdala, right? It consists of the nucleus accumbens, the prefrontal cortex, the insular cortex as well. All of these parts, they play a vital role in processing and assessing stimuli and planning the reaction of the consumer or the customer as well. Now, I'm not going to explain all of the different parts itself, but in another lesson I will basically be dealing with this. What we need to understand that all of these parts of the brain, they help us to kind of draw information to understand behavioral patterns of consumers on a daily basis. Now, in neuromarketing, we use various techniques and also equipment, and these techniques they focus either on the metabolic and electrical activity of the brains, and also uses biometrics that are associated with the peripheral nervous system. We look at also things like the eyes, the skin, etc. Or when we look at the five senses, how the five senses basically when they are stimulated and how it affects the brain and how the brain processes information and how the consumer reacts towards products and services that are being offered in the marketplace. The other equipment or device that is used is the eye tracking device, which is quite common amongst many companies today. Now, the eye tracking device is one of the neuromarketing technique that is used to measure eye movements to determine how much attention people or consumers pay towards a particular stimuli. Now, this technology allows us to analyze people's eye movements, okay, to determine where they focus much of their attention most of the time. And by this way, we notice that people in what they are attracted to, okay, because if they spend more time looking at something, this shows that they are actually love this item or they would love to buy it, etc. So the eye tracking device is where it actually focuses on the movement of the eye and is able to draw the data to establish the likes and dislikes of a consumer. The other device is the EEG machine that measures the frequency of the nervous system's amplified electrical activity. Now, this technique helps us to understand how the brain is activated, okay, and on the basis of synaptic activity as well as the valence of activity as well, whether it is positive or negative. So it helps the neuromarketer or the researcher to be able to establish the positivity and the negativity or the reaction of consumers in relation to the products or the services that are being offered. Then we have the Fmri, which is the functional magnetic resonance imaging. Okay, and it's quite a common diagnostic technique that is used in neuromarketing right now. The system measures metabolic activity, in which it kind of analyzes the glucose consumption in different parts of the brain, and it makes it possible to determine how the brain processes the visual stimuli that an individual or consumer is faced with in the marketplace, or especially in the shopping mall, etc. Another technique or a device that is used is called the facial coding devices. Now, when we look at people, a lot can be determined or analyzed just through facial recognition. Okay, this facial coding is a technique that analyzes the micro movements of the facial muscles in response to a particular emotion. So people are moved by certain things that happens on the outside, and through the facial inflections or the facial muscles, we will be able to determine whether they're happy or sad, whether they are disgusted or surprised, and so on. This is a unique way of establishing the behavioral patterns of the consumer. And all of this techniques and equipment, they're basically used to be able to tap into the black box or the head office or the hard drive of a consumer, and to draw this information to enable marketers and to enable companies to strategically position their products and services in a geographical location. So the black box, like in an aircraft, it processes the information and it gives vital data to enable one to be able to move forward, especially in this case, in the marketing arena, to enhance what is being done in the marketing field, and also to attract the customer or the consumer to be able to purchase the products and services that a company is offering at a particular time. Thank you for watching.